thatmovieguyUK.
Hi everyone, welcome back, and maybe welcome for the very first time. As most of you in the United Kingdom, we have been immersed with great sunshine, horse bites, burnt necks, filling up skips, and some nice rural walks. And coming home then in the evenings to enjoy a trio of very interesting films courtesy of Sundance London 2020. This is a digital edition because obviously we cannot all convene in a cinema and have a festival at the moment because of, well, you know. And I think Sundance have done a tremendous job managing a micro festival online and being able to access it to the whole of the United Kingdom. And I just wanted to give you a little overview of what I thought of how the festival went and discuss the 3 films I actually watched. My overall experience was actually very good. I didn't anticipate to see many technical issues. It ran as smoothly as you can. Working in a digital festival is a lot of work, and it's a lot of timing and scheduling, and for me it ran very smoothly. But for me, losing out on that connection with film fans is what I miss within this kind of circle. And I really didn't feel lost because the Q&As after were very engaging. People were asking very interesting questions, and I think there was a good discourse between the actual filmmakers and the actors, and also the special guests that we had, along with the people that actually just seen the films for the very first time. I really enjoyed it, and obviously going on, then you had discourses on Twitter, Letterboxd. So I really didn't feel lost not being at Sundance this year. I really enjoy the festival in general. I think indie cinema is obviously what I love and adore, and I felt like I wasn't really missing that much except for that face-to-face element, which right now I can accept. So I really want to congratulate the festival, really, to begin with. I genuinely really think it's a great idea, and also I do think it's a great sense of inclusivity rather than exclusivity. Festivals can be quite tight-knit with little communities, but for me, I think digitally is a great way forward for festivals. It doesn't necessarily mean the whole festival has to be screened digitally, but a small selection of these films being made available to a wider audience is something that I really think is a concept that Sundance and a lot more festivals should be taking forward because of this pandemic. And fair play to Sundance for getting the ball rolling. So I saw 3 films during the weekend, and that was Uncle Frank, Luxor, and Boys State. And I'll discuss all 3 films. I'll give you a little synopsis and then a review of each one. It's not going to be as elongated as my usual reviews, but I just want to kind of give you a rough taste and for you to get excited for these films. And I'm probably sooner down the line I will make a more thorough review for each film. But because there was a good blend, I thought it'd be better to have them all together. So the first one I watched was Uncle Frank, which is from Alan Ball of 6 Feet Under and True Blood fame for me. True Blood is one of the shows that really got me through university. I thought it was great trash, and it's something that I love dearly. And I've never really explored Alan Ball's cinematic canvas before, but with Uncle Frank I knew that Paul Bettany was in it, and for me, Paul Bettany doesn't get many leads, so it was actually good to see him in a lead role. So I'll give you a rough synopsis, and we'll get cracking with some analysis after that. Set in 1973, teenager Beth leaves her rural southern hometown to study at New York University, where her beloved Uncle Frank is a revered literature professor. Soon she discovers that Frank is gay and living with his longtime partner, an arrangement that he has kept secret for years. After the sudden death of Frank's father, Beth's grandfather, Frank is forced to reluctantly return home for the funeral with Beth in tow and finally face a long-buried trauma that he has spent his entire adult life running away from. Uncle Frank is the perfect epitome for a 3-star film. It is a spiky drama that doesn't have anything really new to say. It has a deep connection for Alan Ball, which he really discussed within the Q&A, that it's something that he holds dear to his heart. But for me, I found it to be very usual, but it had these little spiky punches of drama that you didn't expect, and you have a couple of moments where you're just like, oh shit, that just actually happened. But for me, I really enjoyed the connection between Sophia Lillis and Paul Bettany. This was really the epicenter of the story, that it's Sophia really learning more about the world and about different people, but also her getting to know her uncle a bit more. And I think that kind of bond really settles the tone, and then once you kind of go back home with him, that's where it kind of builds the momentum. It's canvas in this lovely, like, sunshine, orangey kind of colour. It's very melancholic. It has a dreamlike state, if you will. It's very reminiscent. It's like you're just sitting back and just remembering moments in your life. And I kind of enjoyed that, but unfortunately, I just wish that there was something that elevated the film a little bit more. The next film I saw was Luxor from Xanadura. This was a film I didn't really know much about. I had seen a couple of reviews for it initially where people were actually quite engaged by it, and that's kind of really where I piqued my interest, along with the idea that Andrea Riseborough is in it. Andrea Riseborough is an indie darling that has really sparked a lot of imagination for me within film. Obviously, Mandy, Possessor, these are like two of the most recent films I can think of in my head right now. She's brilliant, and there must be a reason why she made it. So, yeah, I'll tell you what it's about. Luxor follows the story of British aid worker Hannah, who returns to Luxor, a sleepy city in the banks of the Nile. She comes across Sultan, a talented archaeologist and former lover. As she wanders, haunted by the familiar place, she struggles to reconcile the choices of her past with the uncertainty of her present. Luxor is a quaint and reflective piece from Xanadura. Trauma deals with us in different ways, and I think Hannah's sense of returning to Luxor is her sense of coping within the ideas of that we are creatures of comfort. Where we find comfort is where we go. There are places that I like to go when I'm not at my best or just want to relax, and this cascades into a dreamlike film that just ponders. It doesn't necessarily tell you what's the problem or where the issues lie. It's a journey that we go with Hannah, a journey of her to understand what the decisions she's made in her past that have kind of dealt the cards that she has right now and where she's at, but also this love story between her and a former lover kind of rekindles things. The only negative I can say about this film is that I didn't necessarily think that there was a full story here. I didn't feel satisfied, or neither was I angry, but I just feel like the end of the film was just very subtle. But it also left me asking questions, which is always a good thing. And obviously, as you can imagine, Andrea Riseborough is tremendous in this film. She said actually in the Q&A for the film after that she was actually meant to be on a break when this film was scheduled to happen, and she was like, no, I'm cancelling my holiday because I want to make this film. And I really think that it just channels another side to her that we haven't exactly seen yet. It really shows the diverse range that she has, and I really think that her collaboration with Xanadura and the whole setting of Luxor is very translucent and very unique. I think it is due out later this year, so if you have the opportunity to watch it, please do. It is worth your time. And the last film I saw was Boy State from Jesse Moss and Amanda McBain. This was on my radar for quite some time after Sundance, and for me, I studied politics in university, and it's something that I truly find fascinating when younger people are trying to build their own political ideas and ideologies. And the whole idea of Boy State is something that I was aware of before, where 1,000 17-year-old boys descend into basically creating a representative government from the ground up. This is where they learn to pitch, this is where they learn to write scripts and how to conjure votes, how to make the rivals look like pieces of crap. It is basically a boys' club, but there is also a female version of this, which I was told in the Q&A that may be happening as a documentary, which I would be fascinated to see also. But going back to Boy State, this was the best film that I saw within the weekend. Honestly, it was a interesting concept to show American idealism, and it just shows a nation divided between its youth. Obviously being in Texas, it's a heavy Republican state, and to see some liberal democratic views being quashed by a vast majority side became something that you see within modern politics. And I think that's very gripping, it's very shocking, but also it kind of asserts the idealisms of what some of our elders are kind of pushing on the younger generation. And that's kind of where I saw this, but also it was amazing to see how some of these young men were kind of not on that curb and had shared ideas that I believe in, and that was very empowering, and I found it to be very inspiring. It's a documentary full of very interesting and unique characters that really cause shock. It pulls your heartstrings. It is an emotional roller coaster of a documentary. Honestly, when this comes out, you really need to watch it. It is absolutely fascinating, and it will it will enrage you at times, but also it will leave you thinking there is a future for the world, and a future where I feel like my ideas may eventually end up. So yeah, Boys State is the best of the three. Go for it if you can. Right then, that was my Sundance London 2020 roundup. Great experience overall. If I had to rank them, I would go Boys State, Luxor, Uncle Frank. Highly recommend all three in general. Fantastic digital experience. What did you think of the festival? Did you attend? What was your favourite film? What films are you actually looking forward to seeing from the rest of the Sundance slate? I was gutted that Zola wasn't there, but still had very good expanded ideas of film. Really enjoyed this experience. Festival-wise now for me, Fantasia Film Festival is my next festival that I will be covering, and I've applied for Toronto Film Festival. I don't know if I'll get in, but we will see. And then obviously the London Film Festival this year. I will not be going to Venice, unfortunately. It's something that I just do not really want to risk, as the British government keep changing quarantines for different countries. So I don't really want to be stuck in Venice and then having to come back and have to quarantine for 2 weeks after coming back. It's something that I really financially cannot do right now, and it's a great shame, but I think it's something that I had to do. I don't really know what I'm going to review next, but keep an eye out. You never know at the moment. Things are just spontaneously happening. So keep sharing the love and all that jazz. Let me know what you're watching, what you've been picking up. Always intrigued to know. And as we normally say on the channel, diolch, danke, obrigado, merci beaucoup, arigato, danke schön, bitte schön, all the shins. And obviously, never change.